Today, I want to tackle a topic that makes many of us uncomfortable, but is so often absolutely necessary. And that's having difficult conversations. Whether it's within the workplace, with your friends, with your families, maybe even with your kids, having tough talks are going to be unavoidable. And many of us will avoid having these discussions because we just don't know where to start. And because they're very difficult. So let's look at 5 quick and simple strategies that will help you navigate these conversations with confidence and grace. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Kevin Joseph. We've haven't met before. Here on my channel, my goal is to motivate and inspire you to dive deep into personal and professional growth by sharing my experiences. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. It's free and it helps my ego. Let's dive in. Number 1 is to prepare with purpose. First things first, preparation is key. The same way that you wouldn't go into a presentation unprepared, you don't just walk into a difficult conversation willy-nilly without a plan. So you want to start by identifying the main issue that you need to address and then be specific about what it is you want to achieve from that conversation. Are you looking for a resolution, an apology? Are you just trying to clear the air on a matter? Having a clear purpose for the conversation will keep you focused so you can provide concrete examples rather than vague accusations, because all it takes is that person to dispute one of your vague accusations and it'll completely derail your conversation. So you want to avoid saying things like, "You're always doing this," or "You never do that." Be prepared to speak to very specific examples. Number 2 is to choose the right time and place. You'll be amazed at just how much timing and the environment can significantly impact the outcome of your conversation. Choose a time and a place when both of you are likely to be calm, not rushed, and will have minimal distractions. And then choose a neutral space that both of you will feel comfortable and safe in. If you're in an office setting, perhaps a boardroom is better. If you're a manager, having a talk with an employee, because doing it in your office might present a bit of a power dynamic that puts the other person on edge. And if it's with a friend or a family member, perhaps it's time when no one else is going to be around, no one's going to be at home, or you can take a quiet walk on the park or choose somewhere where you're going to have some privacy. But wherever and whenever it is, you're definitely going to want to pick a place where the other person will not feel embarrassed or defensive. And I'll also encourage you not to treat this conversation as a surprise. There's no aha or I got you moments here, right? Let the other person know ahead of time that you need to have a talk, and specifically what about, because it allows them the opportunity to come prepared to the conversation and then should help them be a little bit less defensive as it's not catching them off guard. Number 3 is to speak with clarity and compassion. So you've made it this far, you've made your notes, you've set the time and the place to have this conversation. Now let's be honest, this is going to be the toughest part, because the way that you actually go about addressing the matter, the words that you choose, they're going to have the biggest impact. And a couple points I want to make here. First of all, in order to avoid setting the person on the defensive, you want to try to use I statements. This is going to help you own your perspective without assigning blame. For example, instead of saying "you always miss deadlines," you could say something like, "I feel stressed when deadlines are missed because it impacts our team's ability to reach our targets." Or instead of saying "you never support me," you could say, "I would feel more supported if I got more help around the house." When you do this, it's going to tend to reduce the other person's chances of feeling attacked, since the emphasis really isn't on them, it's more on how it's impacting you. At the end of the day, other people can't tell you how to feel, but they can try to deflect your accusations of them. Second, and on the flip side of this, and not to be flip-flopping back and forth, but what I would say is there has to be a fine balance to this, because you don't want to soften the impact to a point where it holds no weight. You still need to be direct enough to get your point across. What you're ultimately trying to achieve is to go hard on the issue and soft on the person. The point is to address the issue and not personally attack that other person. Number 4 is to listen actively. Now imagine that you're a detective trying to solve a mystery. Your job is to gather clues and then piece together the whole entire story. When that other person speaks, you need to listen intently, because when you do this without interrupting, you're really showing that you're paying attention to not just the words that are being said, but also to the emotions behind them. because empathy is going to be your secret weapon here. So while the conversation is going on, you want to reflect back to what you've heard and ensure that you understand correctly. This shows the person that you're actually listening to them, which is a vital part of these conversations. Now, remember that a conversation is a two-way street. And if you've been around this channel long enough, you've heard me say that since you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, it means you should be quicker to listen than to speak. I recall having to have a tough conversation with an employee who I also considered a good friend that had been underperforming and missing deadlines. And during the conversation, I had learned that he was dealing with some very personal matters at home that was keeping him mentally distracted. And I know he was putting on this brave face coming to work and no one could tell that something was bothering him. But by listening, I was able to understand his perspective, and then we were able to come together to work on a solution. So being open and listening actively is a must. Number 5 is to stay calm, composed, and focused. Be prepared that in tough conversations, emotions are going to run high. It's perfectly normal, but it's essential to keep a cool head and stay focused on the issue at hand. When people feel defensive, it's normal that they're going to give you a long list of reasons why what you're saying is inaccurate, or they may even try to change the subject altogether. And how easy is it for us to get caught up and go down the rabbit hole of whatever it is they're trying to talk about? This is why in point number 1, I was talking about writing down the issues so you could stay focused, because it enables you to reposition parts of those conversations where the other person may start to digress and go off track into other topics that you're not there to discuss. Expect to feel personally attacked by what the other person may have to say, because again, it's 2 ways and they're going to be saying things about you just as much as you might be saying things about them. But if you feel yourself getting anxious, upset, or frustrated, just take a pause if needed and collect your thoughts, and maybe take a small break allows the other person to calm down and for you to reset your mindset. Now, having difficult conversations is hard and they take practice. They're not easy. Now, life would be great if we never had to have them, but you should remember that the goal is not to win an argument. It's really to resolve a matter, resolve an issue, and strengthen those relationships that you have. Difficult conversations are a part of life, but with the right approach, they can lead to growth and improved understanding. Now, I wonder, what difficult conversation have you had with someone, and what strategy did you use that I did not mention? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and any strategies that you use when you're having tough talks. If you found this video helpful, please share it with someone that you think might benefit from it. And don't forget to give the video a like and then subscribe to the channel, because you never want to miss the next video. Until next time, keep growing, keep improving, and remember, every conversation is an opportunity for connection and change. Peace and love.